Viewers, let's begin with an important caveat. This is not an argument advancing the need for president or central rule for Jammu and Kashmir in perpetuity. The status quo, where the citizens of the state don't get to elect a government that is accountable to them, is not after all tenable. The fact is not lost even on the Supreme Court. While in December last year it upheld the abrogation of Article 370 in the same judgment, it also directed the Election Commission of India to conduct assembly polls in Jammu and Kashmir before September 30th, 2024. That means, viewers, assembly elections need to be conducted in the next 8 weeks in Jammu and Kashmir. Moreover, the Apex Court had also directed the Modi-led NDA government to restore full statehood to Jammu and Kashmir by that same deadline. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah, the man in charge of the nation's internal security, had no qualms with the Supreme Court order. Speaking at an election rally ahead of the Lok Sabha elections in May 2024, Shah confirmed that both farmans of the top court would be executed before the deadline lapses. The Supreme Court's decision to restore the full panoply of democratic rights is unarguably altruistic, morally and legally correct. But is it the right one, viewers? And should Amit Shah be meekly accepting every order issued at gavel point? These are complex questions, but one that must be asked. In fact, this show will argue that there is a strong case for delaying elections and for strengthening central rule over the benighted region. Over the last 32 months, 48 soldiers have been martyred in targeted Islamist strikes on the forces in Jammu and Kashmir. The attack today, viewers, where the security forces have lost 5 more of their brave hearts, is but the latest. Viewers, 4 army and 1 police personnel have been killed in gunfight in Doda, joint operation of Rashtriya Rifles and Jammu and Kashmir Police in the Desa forest. 1 officer among 4 army personnel were killed in this gunfight. Terror attack by Jaish-linked Kashmir Tigers group, viewers, is what we are being told. Search operations in the Desa forest to find the terror hideouts is still underway. Viewers, of course, India will always honor the sacrifices of its martyrs. Captain Brijesh Thapa, Nayak D. Rajesh, Sepoy Bijendra, Sepoy Ajay. Our viewers are completely and totally viewers, committed to the cause. Even viewers, posthumously they will be remembered and respected by those who encourage commitment of this level. Viewers, the Islamists are not just targeting security personnel, but also scores of innocents. The attacks on civilians, you'll remember the Riyasi attack, are most terrifying because they are random, cowardly ambushes designed to arouse terror in unsuspecting minds, lulled into complacency by scenes of topical normality. It is true, film halls have opened in the troubled geography for the first time in 4 decades. Curfews and intifada are fading from the headlines, and trade and tourism is picking up. But the recent spike in violence reveals the caste of revanchists, religious obscurantists, and Pakistan's mercenaries are just as committed to prosecuting a case for azadi or self-rule at gunpoint, viewers. Many who are championing the need to restore political rights will tell you that these elements cannot be allowed to hold democracy hostage. They will point you in the direction of the just concluded Lok Sabha elections. They will cite the impressive record turnout as evidence that the people of the region are no longer alienated from the mainstream, that they are keen on becoming equal stakeholders in India's story. Viewers, they will say that it is incumbent upon the government of the day to ensure that these elections are held. It is incumbent on the government of the day to stop, cauterize the cross-border terror. Listen in first, viewers, to some of these responses that have triggered a blame game.
अफसोस ये है कि there is no accountability. By now, the head should have rolled. The DG should have been sacked by now. Because जो इस वक्त हो रहा है पिछले 32 months में almost 50 soldiers have lost their lives. Nobody is being held accountable. और जो इस वक्त के DG हैं, he is more, busy with fixing things politically. उनका जॉब है PDP के लोग कैसे तोड़े जाए, लोगों को कैसे हरास किया जाए, उनको कैसे धमकाया जाए, जर्नलिस्ट को कैसे तंग किया जाए।
आतंकियों के हौसले बुलंद हैं और वो जम्मू रीजन में आ गए और सीधे हमारे सेना पर हमला कर रहे हैं। और मोदी जी इटली और रूस में शांति की बात कर रहे हैं। अरे थोड़ा तो सीखो, इंदिरा जी से प्रेरणा लो और देश के सीमाओं की सुरक्षा अजेय करो।
Viewers, obviously accountability must be sought and it must in fact be enforced. But viewers, apart from a security response to the cross-terror attacks, cross-LOC rather, terror attacks, viewers, this thesis of holding elections, because somehow those elections will prove to be the silver bullet, this thesis is true only up to a point. There is no doubt that the Lok Sabha election, the first to be held after the abrogation of Article 370, has reduced the physical, emotional and psychological gap between the people of Jammu and Kashmir, especially residents of the valley and the Indian state. But the Lok Sabha elections have also revealed that the interface between the people and the state, the contenders, are still deeply aligned to separatist and theocratic impulses that led to the troubles, viewers, in the first place. Security concerns remain, viewers, and there is no guarantee that revoking president's rule could lead to, in any way, the stemming of militancy. In fact, it could even compromise national security. Political instability, the region's political landscape is highly polarized, and revoking president's rule could lead to political instability, even chaos. The central government has initiated various development projects in the region which could be derailed if president's rule is revoked. At this point, we must pay attention, viewers, to the incumbent DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, R.R. Swine. He may have been impolitic. He may have upset people like Mehbooba Mufti, but his assessment on why the region has burned is spot on. Swain has said Pakistan successfully infiltrated all important aspects of civil society thanks to so-called mainstream or regional politics in the valley. There is ample evidence to show that many had mastered the art of running with the hare and hunting with the hound, which left both the common man and the security forces bewildered, frightened and confused. Unquote, viewers. Viewers, let me tell you that those situations, those conditions still obtain. And they obtain in a manner that is very, very obvious. Just look back. In fact, just look back at the Lok Sabha elections. What did we see there, viewers? We saw a highly polarized campaign with contenders playing the parochial card. So much so that one of the 6 contenders elected to parliament is a flaming separatist, viewers, who is serving time in jail. Let's not forget, he's serving time in jail for alleged links to Pakistan's deep state. Engineer Rashid's victory was flagged by former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, no less, as a development that will empower secessionists. Indeed, what is the guarantee that the prospective assembly elections won't end up being hijacked, viewers, once again, only this time to test the appeal of Kashmiri separatism among voters? The lordships of the Supreme Court may ask themselves to what extent they are willing to go to indulge their desire to play to the democratic gallery, viewers. They must ask themselves this question. There is still time. I want to open this up. Let's ask some basic questions tonight, viewers. These are important questions. Umesh Talashi is here with us. General G.D. Bakshi, defense expert, is there with us. Sushil Pandit, a Kashmiri activist, and Abhijit Iyer Mitra, needs no introduction, senior fellow of the IPCS. I want to first begin with General Bakshi tonight. General Bakshi, yes, we are hearing so much talk that we must hold elections, that we must return Kashmir to the political process. But is this the right time? I feel that the time has come perhaps to strengthen central rule.
I tend to agree, Rahul. The simple fact is that in the last 3 to 4 years, Pakistan's ISI, Pakistan's army, has made a concerted effort to rekindle terrorism south of the Pir Panjals. North of the Pir Panjals, at the time we revoked Article 370, it's my personal view that we should have revoked it many decades earlier. Be that as it may, we revoked it, and prior to revoking, we super saturated the valley with troops. This, increased force level has its own dynamic. We were threatened with rivers of blood and this and that, but at the end of the day, the separatists could not do a damn. They couldn't do anything apart from making loud noises, and that too in Pakistan. That is the logic of force levels. But concomitantly, we reduced the force levels from south of the Pir Panjals. I was the GOC Romeo force in 2004-2005 when we broke the back of terror. We finished terrorism in that particular area. For 10 years there was peace after I had left. But then came in that measure of complacency, and then the army decided rightly that this is a dormant area, why do we need to waste troops here? So let's take them away to where they are more required, and troops were pulled out. When I was there, I had 18 battalions. 7-8 years down the line, they were reduced to 7. And I don't know what the present force deployment is, but it is far, far less than the optimal. So there is this force dilution in Rajouri, Poonch, Riyasi, Kathua, and uniform force, as you are aware, was taken away to Ladakh. You gave an opening, the ISI has taken the fullest advantage. And then something worst happened, Rahul, which the country must know, and we must correct it. During COVID, for 3 years, we stopped all recruitment. Every year, 60,000 boys retire. 60 into 3 is 1,80,000. Who in his right mind has decided to cut the army by almost 2 lakh troops? When your battle is going to be all in the mountains, whether against China, whether against Pakistan, mountains eat up troops. For God's sake, restore that cut in troops. It has disrupted the CI grid. How are these casualties taking place? There is no CI grid. There is no road opening. And you've achieved that satisfaction of cutting the flab in the Indian army. I think you cut it too damn close to the bone.
Okay, so
in your
those are operational questions.
Please, I'll just finish, Rahul.
Yes.
You have a trailer in front of your eyes in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah.
Is Russia short of weapons? We were told we are cutting manpowers to get weapons. Is Russia short of weapons? They were short of manpower, and it showed.
Yes.
They had to call up 3 lakh reservists and then recruit 5 lakh more. Do you want to do that in the middle of a battle?
That's a valid point.
You've created situations which you will have to redress.
That's a valid point.
Serious problem.
Let's discuss that also, but we must address the central, the elephant in the room, so to speak. And I want to bring in the National Conference spokesperson, Mr. Umesh Talashi. I want to also bring in Mr. Iyer Mitra as well as Mr. Pandit. Mr. Umesh Talashi, I don't understand why this constant demand that we must return to the electoral process. Should we hold elections so that more engineer Rasheeds can make it to the legislature? Is that what people want, politicians such as you? Because let me tell you, the contenders who are standing for these elections, whether they are from your party or from beyond, are the same faces. The same faces who DGP Swain said were the reason why we had trouble in the first place, why Pakistan's agenda got mainstreamed.
Well, Rahul, I can definitely understand what you're pointing towards, but the point is, we've been under president's rule from last 5-6 years, and I don't see any good things happening in Jammu and Kashmir. So we have seen back-to-back killings. We have seen that earlier it was Kashmir, which was bleeding. Now it's entire Jammu, it's entire Pir Panjal area, which is bleeding, and there is no accountability, right? So you're pointing towards the elections. So tell me what good has happened in last 5-6 years. We have seen minority killings at peak. We have seen security forces, our brave soldiers losing their lives. So what good has happened under president's rule? And at the time of the accountability, we haven't seen any sort of accountability except from a tweet from the Lieutenant.
Can I ask you, Mr. Talashi?
Sure. Yeah.
Can I ask you one specific question? I agree. There must be accountability from the commanders, as General Bakshi says, for actually having pruned the number of forces, etc., and the other missteps. I understand all of that. Yes.
No. What
one
else
second,
are you
just one
getting
second.
from
When
the,
you say nothing has changed, 1 second, sir, just 1 second. Bear me out.
Sure.
For the first time, you have cinema halls that are open. For the first time, you have tourism and trade booming in the valley. One second, let me just finish.
Just a second. Let me
Talashi
finish.
साहब आपने बोला था ना मैं एक मिनट एक दो चीजें आप देखिए we shouldn't
Sure.
speak over
Go
each
ahead.
other. Let us
Go
keep this civil. Let us be
Okay.
patient with each other. Pelters are no longer on the streets. Kids are in schools. You don't have a situation where people are running around with bags of money to bring people out of schools or burn down schools. You don't have the kind of strife that we have seen over the last 15-20 years in Jammu and Kashmir. We have corrupt politicians who are behind bars today. We have politicians who have links to separatists who are behind bars. We have separatists who are behind bars. We have the murderers of Kashmiri Hindus who are jailed. A lot has changed. But I want to ask you something, Mr. Umesh Talashi. You talk about accountability. We must ask questions. Of course, we must ask questions. Has the National Conference taken out even one march through the streets of Srinagar? Forget about any other part of the state or the territory, saying that never in my name will Islamist terror be tolerated, that we love our security forces, that we are ready to take on terrorists ourselves on behalf of our security forces, that we condemned outright Pakistan. Instead, what we have, sir, what we have is one of your top leaders who still advocates for talks, who still advocates for talks with Pakistan. Why?
Okay, let me answer your question. Okay, let me answer
Where is
your
your
question.
accountability?
You're talking about cinema halls and you're talking about those
Sir,
cosmetic
where is
changes
your
in
accountability?
Kashmir.
I'm
Okay,
asking
okay,
you.
let me-
Why
let me-
aren't you
let me answer your
holding these
question.
terrorist
We
organizations
are
accountable?
holding- We do. If you go to the recent statement of
No,
Dr.
I want to
Farooq
ask you,
Abdullah,
sir,
he
where
was
are
very
these
clear.
marches? Where is the
He was
physical? No,
very
again, you're
clear.
saying beyond a
Look,
couple of tweets.
marches
I'm sorry.
Look, we have been condemning these terror attacks, right, from day one. We never were in favor of it.
Sir,
and we
can I
still
ask you a
do,
question?
Right?
Can I ask
We
you a
still
question?
do. Now,
Can I ask you? No,
rather
don't
than
talk.
holding- no,
You know,
let me
this
finish.
symbolic,
Don't
this
interrupt.
symbolic
Don't
token,
interrupt. No, don't
token
interrupt.
condemnation
Let
will
me
not work. I
finish.
want to ask you a
Rather
question.
than holding-
Should Omar
rather than
Abdullah's
holding
uncle,
the-
should
rather
Omar
than
Abdullah's
holding-
uncle, will he,
rather than
no,
holding
will
the
he stand
government
for election?
accountable-
Will Omar Abdullah's
Let me-
uncle
let me-
stand
let
for
me
election?
answer you.
You answer me that
Let me-
question.
Let me ask you something. Rather than holding the government accountable at this point in time, you're still asking what are the regional parties doing. See, we are in crisis. Our security forces are being killed. Civilians are being killed. we are fear-stricken. Jammu is under siege, and rather than asking these questions to the government of the day, you don't have a single representative from the BJP here who's going to answer these questions.
Mr.
Let me finish.
Mr. Talashi, your point is well taken. Your point is well taken. The center needs to be asked the questions, and they need to be asked the tough questions. Why aren't head rolling? I am asking that question, but I want you to. No, 1 second, Mr. Talashi.
Let me finish.
I am asking you now. I am asking you now. Excuse me, will Omar Abdullah's uncle, for instance, get a ticket to stand for the election? And should he get a ticket to stand for the elections? I'm asking you this fundamental question, yes or no?
Well, should or should not? That depends
I'm asking
on
you. I'm asking you. Should he stand for another election, yes or no?
Well, it's a democracy, right? It's a democracy. Let
Viewers,
decide it.
who am I talking about here? I'm talking about an individual.
Let people decide it.
I'm talking about an individual who flies the banner of Pakistan in the valley, viewers. And we are being told it's a democracy, so what the hell? Let him stand for elections. Let engineer Rashid's, hundreds of them, stand for elections.
It's a democracy.
Viewers, then it becomes a democracy. Then it becomes a democracy. When separatists are going to stand for elections, it becomes a democracy. When people who don't have any faith in the Indian constitution stand for elections, then it's a democracy. There is no accountability at the political level.
You have to ask these questions to the government of the day,
viewers,
not a regional
let me bring
party.
In, let me
you
bring
ask
in,
this question
let
to
me
the government
bring
of the
in,
day.
Let me bring in Sushil Pandit and Abhijit Iyer Mitra. Sushil Pandit, let me first ask you to ask some questions of the National Conference spokesperson. Yes, these attacks should not be taking place. Yes, our security grid should be in place. Yes, we should have more deployment of force and troop levels in Jammu. But am I going to be today told that in 1 month, if we have elections, those elections will be without fear and without favor, and they will be genuinely free in the shadow of terror? Am I supposed to expect this, Sushil Pandit?
Rahul, this is a very pertinent question, and you are indeed pointing to the elephant in the room. Let me just cite an example. You mentioned Engineer Rashid, who is currently the Honorable MP from Baramulla. You know who his predecessor was? He was from same party that one of the panelists is, Mr. Talashi. His name was Akbar Lone.
Yes.
He has the dubious distinction of being the Speaker of the Assembly, and as an MLA, he shouted Pakistan Zindabad not only in the Assembly. He started his campaign for Lok Sabha in 2019 with the, again, same slogan, Pakistan Zindabad. Now, whether he is from a mainstream party like National Conference, or whether it is Engineer Rashid, who's a lone ranger, both are chips of the same block, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and this constituency has returned them in succession, one after the other. Mainstream politics is steeped with running with the hare and hunting with the hound kind of approach. And therefore, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call them the Trojan horse of separatism in Kashmir. They have harbored it. They benefit from it, they play hide and seek with it, and they run circles around India just because they take an oath on the Constitution of India. We are happy no end that they are part of the mainstream politics and they engendered and fostered democracy in Kashmir. Nothing can be farther from truth. I am afraid, why are we not acting against them? Why are there any court cases, no charge sheets? Why aren't they being prosecuted for their actions in the past? Why don't they face the consequences of their crimes? So this is a huge weakness within the system. Number two, elections will time and again throw up separatism and separatist politicians because we have not addressed the problem beyond surface.
Yes.
Just cessation of stone pelting and booming tourism cannot be the end-all and be-all of fighting against jihad in Kashmir. Superficially, you can restore some kind of semblance of normalcy, a suggestion of calm, but they change tactics overnight. From Kalashnikovs, they resort to pistols and targeted killings.
Yes.
From stone pelting, they start a different kind of intifada, And this is what we are faced with.
And the problem is, viewers, that the mainstream politician in Jammu and Kashmir is not standing up to this. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, would you agree with me? And therefore, this great endeavor by the Supreme Court to set a deadline before the 30th of September to hold Jammu and Kashmir is very suspect.
So it's not only do they not stand up to it, Rahul, it's they actually encourage all of this. You see, because this has been their modus operandi for the longest period of time. Omar Abdullah has one standard line that he always gives, which is talk to Pakistan, talk to Pakistan. Pakistan is a stakeholder, talk to Pakistan. That is what the Pakistanis want him to say. Mehbooba Mufti is essentially the political face of the Jamaat-e-Islami, and the militant face of the Jamaat-e-Islami is the Hizbul Mujahideen, right? So both these leaders or both these factions really, they are doing exactly what the Pakistanis want them to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, do they know what they're doing or are they clueless about it? I really don't know. But, this is what the game has been. Now, we need to understand, if you jog your memory back to Punjab, when the insurgency ended out there, we had very significant instances of terror that happened afterwards. We need to remember this isn't the reignition of an insurgency. These are significant sporadic terror attacks happening, which will always happen at the tail end of an insurgency. Why are they happening right now? That is the question we need to ask. First is, Pakistan has to prove first and only thing is Pakistan has to prove its worth to China. Its only real worth to China comes from showing that it can bog down India in a place like Kashmir. So if you notice, all these things are, like General Bakshi said, happening south of the Pir Panjal range. Why? Because they want to move troops south from the China border to the Pir Panjal range and show the Chinese masters that they can actually bring some tangible benefits. Then, once they've succeeded in that, they also need to show that they are capable at least of generating some narrative about an insurgency starting up, because they're in desperate financial straits. The Chinese never fell for their hokum. The Americans did. The Americans cut off aid. The Chinese aren't really giving any aid. And now they desperately need their bailout packages and things like that. Pakistan's future depends on this. But it's very important, while I agree with General Bakshi that heads need to roll, more important than heads rolling is, have we learned our lessons from this? Because the lessons are, if you go back to Punjab, that this kind of tail-end insurgency will always have high spikes. Do you remember Beyant Singh, the Chief Minister of Punjab, was killed in a bomb blast?
Yes.
Where after the insurgency was over. That was a peak terror activity. It wasn't a continuation of the insurgency. We need to remember all of this. Now, what is the worst case scenario out here? In effect, I actually believe that they're playing into the BJP's hands, the Pakistanis, because let's say this situation gets out of control. It is not going to get out of control. It's really, like I said, big terrorism incidents. And there is president's rule. The government will just have to go back to the Supreme Court and tell them, well, buddy, your orders are unrealistic, reconsider. That is good for who? That is good for security, because the last people we want are these two corrupt dynasts coming back into power.
Well, it's not just about them. There are all sorts of other political parties that are headed by all sorts of other skullduggerous characters. Let's be honest, absolutely. Whether they are proxies for the government or for the BJP, I don't know. Many people have suggested that the alternative is no better.
But the solution, of course, is to remove revenue and security from the state subjects out there. The center has that provision in union territories to remove revenue, and revenue is particularly important because we know both families, and in fact, almost every politician in Kashmir is horribly corrupt. There is not a single honest politician in Kashmir.
Well, these are, of course, allegations that have to be tested, viewers, all the time, in court, etc., etc. But let me bring back the National Conference spokesperson, Mr. Talashi. Mr. Talashi, you see, yes, there has been a failure, a security failure. I completely agree with you, sympathize with you, and accept this point. Neither am I making the case that, political rights must be denied to Kashmiris in perpetuity. That is not also something that is acceptable. Let's be very honest about this. Whether it's the Supreme Court or it's the government at the center, they're all sort of keen that the political process returns to the valley in the form of elections, etc., etc. So let's get these two things out of the way. I just want to ask you, when there is such a wide berth for terror, then how will we stop it? When there is such a political consensus there, And there is this sort of support. I mean, if people who are chanting slogans in favor of Pakistan in the assembly are asked to then apologize and reaffirm their oath to the Indian constitution, are going to stand for election again and again, then how do you expect things to become okay? You're normalizing
Look,
violence against the Indian state, separatism, alienation.
I'll explain it to you, Rahul. We never favor violence. You know, you're talking about waving these flags and talking about Pakistan. Let law take its own course. But the point is, what is the government of the day doing? See, regional
I agree with you, sir. The government of the day, hang it.
The point is,
hang it. I am
you
not,
should have
but
somebody.
you need to be accountable also for your own omissions, sir. That's not fair. Yes, I am telling you, the government of the day, we need to put pressure on it, as General Bakshi very unbiasedly exposed the shortcomings, okay? But you also need to take some onus, sir. You are political stakeholders there. You are the main stakeholders there. And are you going to say that let it be to democracy, Akbar Loan and uncle of Omar Abdullah and all these people who are sort of cheerleaders for Pakistan are allowed to contest elections?
Article 370 was scrapped. Since then,
but sir, the Supreme Court has ruled in the favor of Article 370's abrogation.
Listen to me.
Are you aware?
Let me finish it. Did any of the NC people, did anyone from National Conference start pelting stones? We never. We always talk about peace. We never talked about violence. So what accountability are you expecting from us?
Okay.
What sort of accountability
Mr. Pandit wants to respond. He might illuminate this debate.
Sure.
Yes.
Let me jog his memory to Farooq Abdullah's speech from Hazrat Bal, where he announced publicly that stone pelters are patriots, Watan Parast, and they are not pelting stones for becoming MLAs or ministers or MPs. They are doing it for their cause. And he said it openly to Hurriyat from that platform that we are not enemies. Let's work together. That was not too long ago. And you've been patronizing them. You have let out at least 80 terror suspects between July and November 1989 that unleashed insurgency in Kashmir. This is documented by none other than Indrajit Bhadwar in the March issue of India Today, 1990. Please go ahead and see.
And
then you flee.
These allegations,
then you
let
flee
law
away
take its
from
own
Kashmir
course.
when everything blows up.
No, you can't keep saying let law take its own course, let law take it. These are homilies, sir. These are very pious homilies. Now, hang on.
Look,
Viewers, look, there has to be accountability. Okay, sir, please. Look, there can be no allegation. Akbar Loan himself chanted in the assembly. There is a record of it. There are films of it. There is CCTV of it. What kind of proof is required?
Well, that's what I said.
Is he still a member of your party, sir?
He is. Indeed, he's a member of the
Why
party.
should he be? Where is the accountability? If someone stands up in your political party and chants Pakistan Zindabad, should he not be shown the door?
We made it very clear at that point of time that it was his.
You can make it clear, sir, but these are recurrent. You see, that it's basically, viewers, the wide berth that is given, and that's the problem. Fundamentally, this is the problem. Okay, sir, look, by not taking action against this individual, by not expelling him, in a manner, you're endorsing it. Now, we can quibble over the exact, semantics of it. But it comes across as somebody who's given a wide berth to individuals like this. Now, viewers, you take your pick. Yes, ask the questions. Ask Modi, ask Shah, ask, the defense minister. Ask them all the questions. But how can we continue to give a wide berth to separatism, to hate against the Indian constitution in the Indian state and expect things to change in Kashmir? The political actors there, the mainstream politicians also have a role to play.
They did, in fact.
Well, you judge these individuals who come out here and say, no, the law will take its own course. Then you judge them. And then you have to ask yourself, why Engineer Rashid made it to Parliament? Because these are the questions that need to be asked fundamentally if you want Kashmir to turn the corner. Otherwise, we can continue to pressure Modi. At the most, what can you do? Invade Pakistan. And the moment the media asks for that kind of response, 150 other YouTubers and other so-called sundry activists will say, oh, there is jingoism going on national media, how irresponsible they are. If General Bakshi makes that case that we should cross the LOC and do some damage, he will be accused of jingoism, of starting a nuclear war. This is a problem, viewers. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But no one will take accountability at any level. I want to move on, viewers. I want to move on because when we are talking about accountability and fixing accountability, this story, viewers, this story must somewhere be talked about. No other media channel has picked this story up, viewers. Let me tell you, they're all scared. They're scared to take on the thin edge of radicalism in this country. In 2022, that individual in the middle of your screens, the Ajmer Sharif cleric, got up and chanted Sartan se Juda, and said that people like Nupur Sharma and others who are supporting Nupur Sharma should be taught a lesson. Viewers, after a long chase, the Ajmer Dargah Khadim, Gohar Chisti, was finally arrested from Hyderabad. He gave the police a runaround then, viewers, for several days. 5 others were also arrested alongside him for chanting this slogan. This slogan was chanted in broad daylight, viewers, on camera. And we will play the soundbite out. Today, viewers, Ajmer Dargah Khadim, Gohar Chisti and 5 others have been acquitted. Basically, viewers, the court has found no evidence against them. They've been acquitted over this June 2022 video threatening Nupur Sharma and others. I am not at any level suggesting here that what was said by Nupur Sharma, etc., all of us must stand up and sort of applaud. I am not suggesting that. The court is looking into it. The Supreme Court, no less, is looking into this issue, and I don't know why it's sitting on this matter. It should quickly resolve it. Nonetheless, viewers, the right to say Sartan se Juda today has been given free license. The Ajmer court has ruled insufficient evidence against the accused. The Chisti, who we are talking about, said Sartan se Juda slogan at an anti-Nupur rally. It was a specifically anti-Nupur Sharma rally. Today, viewers, she sits fearing a threat to her life, holed up in her home for the last 3-4 years. And these individuals who have chanted Sartan se Juda, who have incited hate, even though the Supreme Court itself has set the bar very high for hate speech, are out, free. The state argued the video led to Udaipur and Amravati killings also, viewers. Remember, the Prime Minister went to Udaipur and raised this issue during the electoral campaign. On July 22nd, Chisti was arrested in Hyderabad of that year after absconding. This is what Chisti said, viewers, listen in. Viewers, despite this brazen call, no case against free speech, against hate speech has been made out against this Khadim. Viewers, what to make of this? Let me open this up. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Sushil Pandit are there with us. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, what are we to make of this? Either it was the police under the Congress rule that didn't do its homework, build a case, because we are being told that no independent witnesses were brought forward by the police, that there were only police witnesses. And secondly, the electronic evidence was not conclusive enough. I don't know what is more conclusive. If you've seen that videotape, we can put it on the screen, viewers, in a split screen for you to constantly reference. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, what are we to make of this?
What are we to make of this, Rahul, is very clear. You see, all the investigation happens within the first few months, if not weeks, of a time-sensitive case like this. And what has happened is that during that time that has passed, all the evidence has clearly been tampered with, destroyed or whatever. We've seen this in so many cases, Rahul. Why is this surprising for us? So this is something that has almost certainly happened. But let's not forget, when somebody was actually arrested for it, for setting all the wild boars on Nupur Sharma. The person who set those wild boars on Nupur Sharma was literally acquitted by the Supreme Court, saying that his freedom of speech was so important that he had to be released by 5 p.m. today. And why haven't you released him? Is it quick? Can you get him over there by this evening itself to get him out of jail? So when the ringleader himself is acquitted by the Supreme Court and the entire ball has been dropped, this should have technically been a central investigation, because this was a case of cross-border violence happening across. There were riots in which 12 people died after this episode. It happened throughout. Why was it only left to the state police? That was mistake number one. And obviously the state police, remember, the home minister of one of the other Congress states referred to the ringleader of that violence as, yes, boss, we will do whatever you want or whatever. So why do you expect anything less, Rahul? This is sort of, a whole institutional bias towards the street veto and the threat to the state. The fact is the state does not have the monopoly on violence. The fact is you can still use a street veto and everybody is scared of that street veto. Whether it is complicity or fear, I don't know, but it's definitely one of the two.
In fact, viewers, the Supreme Court at that time even blamed Nupur Sharma for all the rioting, saying that her reactions, her comments were the sole reason for this. Now, Sushil Pandit, look, I know of certain courts, while pronouncing judgment, have said, look, we know that this person is guilty, but the prosecution has failed to do a good job. There's a censure that is passed. Now, I don't know, I haven't still seen the order. We're still awaiting the order. Our reporters are still trying to get hold of the order. Maybe that has been said, but prima facie, right now what has come out is that an acquittal has happened unconditionally. Now, number one, should this be repealed? Number two, how could this have happened when there is such obvious proof against the individual? And thirdly, will this embolden all of those who stand up and threaten dire consequences, incite violence, and violence has taken place in the future?
Rahul, first of all, in general, our criminal justice system is broken. I mean, this has been said umpteen times, but it merits repetition a million times more till someone wakes up and does something about it. It is loaded against the victim, and it works to the advantage of the criminals, the perpetrators. So I have very little hope. We had moved Supreme Court not once, not twice, thrice for justice to the victims of genocide in Kashmir, the Hindu genocide in Kashmir that took place 35 years. We were not even considered for admission. It was thrown out even before arguments could commence. So the less said, the better. In this case, I think there should be a retrial. It is absolute denial of justice, and it sucks, to say the least.
Okay, let me bring in Tausif Khan. He's a lawyer also. Mr. Khan, simple question. Are there double standards? Are there double standards prosecuting people like Nupur Sharma but letting go individuals who are inciters? Is this a case of that?
There is double standard in BJP, and the gentleman who was just speaking before me. When people like Anurag Thakur and Pravesh Sharma says "Goli maro salo ko," no action is taken against them. Why doesn't he speak and say that these men should be arrested, that they should go to jail? They do not say that. Now, when Mr. Chishti, after going through entire trial process, after he is being prosecuted by the government in power, that is their own BJP government in power in Rajasthan, they have acquitted him. They have found him innocent. He was found innocent, and therefore he was acquitted. But they will not raise any slogan, and they will not raise their voice.
So two wrongs make a right, you're suggesting?
No, I'm saying, where is your consistency?
So I just want to ask you a question.
BJP.
It's a good point. Let me ask you a question. Yes, it is today, in today's day and age, it is a BJP government in Rajasthan. The case, however, viewers, was filed under a Congress government, and one of the BJP MLAs has come out and said this is a fit case for repeal, number one. Number two, we will repeal. Number two, most importantly, viewers, the investigation was compromised. But I want to ask you a fundamental question, Mr. Tausif Ahmed Khan. You can hear him chanting that slogan. It's very clear. The video has been played out. Number one.
No.
Do you, for 1 second, sir, do you condemn this kind of slogan? Number one. Number two, most importantly, where is the outrage? When Bilkis Bano's horrible tormentors were let out by the Gujarat government, there was an outcry saying that, look, the rights of Bilkis Bano, very rightly, have been undermined. Here, no one is talking about Nupur Sharma and her rights.
Rahul,
no one is saying
you
that this individual should be jailed, especially amongst those who are on the left of India's spectrum, who actually have a problem with hate speech.
Rahul,
Yes,
you
sir.
see, the law of hate speech applies to Mr. Chishti as well as Mr. Anurag Thakur as well as Nupur Sharma equally. Much to the dislike of the BJP guys who are sitting here.
Remember, it was the BJP that punished
What is
Nupur
the
Sharma.
law?
Don't forget.
What is the law?
Yes.
What is the law? The law under these cases, it is under the previous IPC, Section 153A,
Right.
which is promoting enmity on the ground of religion. 505, circulating rumor,
Yes.
which was a fit case, as in the case of Bengal, when the same Goli Maro slogan was raised in Bengal, Bengal police lodged a case against the people. They were apprehended. And these are the sections that were invoked against them. Section 153A, 505, 506.
What is the
and
point you're
34 of
making?
IPC.
Where is the
point
outrage?
The point is mere sloganeering does not, it will not be decided by you and me.
Mere
it is decided by the
sloganeering,
court.
mere sloganeering does
has
not
found-
amount to a crime.
Court has found that he is
Okay.
innocent.
Mere
Who is Mr.
sloganeering.
Sushil to
Mere
call him
sloganeering.
guilty?
Ayyar Mitra, how would you
Anurag
respond?
Thakur is
Mr.
not
Pandit,
guilty. Anurag Thakur is not guilty.
mere
Pravesh Sharma is
sloganeering
not guilty.
doesn't amount to
Correct.
anything.
Can I speak?
Yes, please.
You see, there is a big difference between, first of all, what Anurag said and what a junior Congress affiliate who masquerades as a fact checker said. What Anurag said was, देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को. Now, what do we have any doubts? Why does the Congress want to protect traitors to the country? I'm
No
not surprised.
consequence.
But anyway, and did anybody get shot? No.
Yes,
But
bullets
when
was
Cong-
fired. Yes, bullets was
when-
fired in Delhi.
When
Bullet
the
was fired. Bullet was fired.
When the Congress affiliate in Bangalore targeted Nupur, 12 people died, one of whose WhatsApp we all saw, where two people went and literally sliced off his throat, slowly made a video of it to circulate it. Okay, there is a big difference between the two. What a target was specifically put on one person's head. What Anurag said was what? Desh ke gaddaron ko. But then, the Congress seems to have a great affinity these days for traitors. That is fine. There is also an false equivalence being made out here between the street veto of two communities. Hindus don't go around slicing off people's heads. But you look at what happened to those 12 people during the riots. Have we also forgotten Kamlesh Tiwari? Even after Kamlesh Tiwari was set free, people of one community went after him, stalked him after years and then killed him. Remember what happened to that writer, that UK writer fellow in America?
Yes.
Yes.
Salman Rushdie.
Salman Rushdie.
Salman Rushdie. After 30 years, they come up on stage and stab him. I am sorry, but you want to make this false equivalence. There is only one community that acts on slogans like this.
Well, viewers, this case is fit for repeal. And the test will be whether the prosecutors now go to court and file a repeal, or, as Sushil Pandit and others have been saying, start a reinvestigation. That will be the fundamental test here. And then, of course, if they have all the evidence, when they submit it to the court, let's see if the court is consistent in the manner in which it prosecutes free speech, viewers. This is an important, very important story. I want to move on because there has been a very significant turn of events. Very significant turn of events in the USA. President aspirant Donald Trump has picked J.D. Vance as his running mate. And J.D. Vance, viewers, is exciting a lot of attention in India, specifically because he's married to an Indian or married to a person of Indian origin called Usha Chilukuri Vance. Usha Chilukuri is the wife of Trump's vice president nominee, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, the daughter of Indian immigrants raised in San Diego, worked as a litigant at a law firm, Munger, Tolles and Olson, served as a law clerk at the U.S. Supreme Court, graduated with a BA in history from Yale University and served as the managing editor of Yale Journal of Law and Tech, MPhil from Cambridge University as a Gates Scholar, and the India link in high places, viewers, from Kamala Harris, US Vice President, to Nikki Haley, ex-South Carolina Governor, Ro Khanna, US Congressman, Pramila Jayapal, US Congressman, Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, Sundar Pichai, Google CEO, Shantanu Ryan, Adobe CEO. There are several Indians who are hitting the big time, viewers, in the United States. All of this, viewers, means that India's stock in the world rises further. We leave it at that, viewers.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, wasn't always a MAGA advocate. Back in 2016, Vance was an outspoken critic of then-candidate Trump.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I know who I'm going to vote for. I'm definitely not going to vote for Trump because I think that he's projecting very complex problems onto simple villains. But
Vance predicted a Trump loss.
But I've noticed this willingness from people who think a lot like I do that, look, we told you so. To all these white working class voters, we told you so. We told you that Trump was going to be a terrible candidate. We told you that you were an idiot if you voted for him.
And in now deleted tweets, J.D. Vance called Trump reprehensible. Fellow Christians, everyone is watching us when we apologize for this man. Lord help us, Vance wrote. Privately, Vance was even more critical, messaging a friend that Trump could be, quote, America's Hitler. But fast forward a few years later, when Vance ran for Senate in Ohio as a Republican. That's when he unveiled a new persona, Trump defender.
Are we having a good time? Is it great to have the president back in Ohio?
I did change my mind about Donald Trump. He was a great president. He's been the greatest president of my lifetime.
I have absolutely got to thank the 45th, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, they wanted to write a story that this campaign would be the death of Donald Trump's America First agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, it ain't the death of the America First agenda.
Vance's MAGA pivot resulted in him winning a seat in the Senate.
And we won big.
And now a place alongside Donald Trump on the 2024 Republican ticket.
Peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We stand for an America, not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to think about it. What's made America so special? Here in America, everyone must be treated with dignity and respect, and hate must have no safe harbor. Here in America, we need to get out of our silos, where we only listen to those with whom we agree, where misinformation is rampant, where foreign actors fan the flames of our division to shape the outcomes consistent with their interests, not ours. Let's remember, here in America, while unity is the most elusive of all goals right now, nothing is more important for us now than standing together. We can do this. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Good afternoon. Last night, I spoke with Donald Trump. I'm sincerely grateful that he's doing well and recovering. and we had a short but good conversation. Jill and I are keeping him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victim who was killed. He was a father. He was protecting his family from the bullets that were being fired, and he lost his life. God love him. We're also praying for the full recovery of those who were injured, and we're grateful to the Secret Service agents and other law enforcement agencies and individuals who risked their lives literally for our nation. As I said last night, there is no place in America for this kind of violence, or any violence for that matter. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation, everything. It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen. Unity is the most elusive goal of all, but nothing is important than that right now, unity. We'll debate and we'll disagree. That's not going to change, but we're going to not lose sight, in fact, who we are as Americans. Look, Vice President Harris and I.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network. As a leader.
Situation room by my Homeland Security team, including the Director of the FBI, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, the Director of the Secret Service, my Homeland Security Advisor, the National Security Advisor, and we're going to continue to be briefed. The FBI is leading this investigation, which is still in its early stages. We don't yet have any information about the motive of the shooter. We know who he is. I urge everyone, please, don't make assumptions about his motives or his affiliations. Let the FBI do their job and their partner agencies do their job. I'm instructed that this investigation be thorough and swift, and the investigators will have every resource they need to get this done. Look, as this investigation continues, here's what we're going to do. First, Mr. Trump, as a former president and nominee of the Republican Party, already receives a heightened level of security. And I've been consistent in my direction to the Secret Service to provide him with every resource, capability, and protective measure necessary to ensure his continued safety. Second, I've directed the head of the Secret Service to review all security measures for the Republican National Convention, which is scheduled to start tomorrow. And third, I've directed an independent review of the national security at yesterday's rally to assess exactly what happened. And we'll share the results of that independent review with the American people as well. And finally, I'll be speaking more about this tonight at greater length from the Oval Office. We must unite as one nation. We must unite as one nation to demonstrate who we are. And so may God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, when you spoke to President Trump yesterday, what did you tell him and what did he tell you, sir?
Mr. President, shifting your campaign strategy, Mr. President, do you regret?
In a News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime studio. Let's go straight across to the Jammu Kashmir DGP, Shri R.R. Swain, who is joining us right now, even as Bharat salutes its brave hearts. Swain Saab, namaste. This is Anand here. Thank you for speaking with us. My first question to you, and what's your current assessment of the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, sir?
At the outset, my tributes to the martyrs and the brave officers and soldiers of the valiant Indian Army. Every single policeman and policewoman of Jammu and Kashmir Police grieves, and they are determined